Hi everybody, it's Katie back with another episode of my vlog, and I thought today I would talk a little bit about the future and what the future holds for everyone, but also for us here in my house at my company. I think this topic is on a lot of people's minds right now. Obviously, we are all experiencing this bizarre pause in our normal lives, and we are all wondering how long this pause is going to last and what things are going to be like when we come out of our stay-home coronavirus quarantine situations, and what normal life is going to look like after this. I think obviously this is a topic on everyone's minds right now, and one of the huge problems is this is such an unprecedented thing, and we have no idea how long it's going to last, and we really don't know what the new normal is going to be like after we come out of this. In a lot of ways, this is really similar to what I experienced when Sean had his stroke. You know, it pulled the rug out from under me. It made me question everything about my future, our future, the company's future, how long things were going to last, what was stroke recovery going to look like. And at first, I was really freaked out, and I had no idea what to do with myself. I'm a planner, and I couldn't plan anything. And it was a really huge problem for me. Over the months of Sean being in the hospital and then coming home, I gradually settled into kind of being okay with not knowing what the future holds and not understanding how to plan for the future correctly the way I'd like to. And this experience with the coronavirus quarantine parallels that so well. It's kind of spooky sometimes. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about the future, but in kind of a more vague sense, right? Because we really don't know what the details are going to look like. I'm a pretty big fan of science fiction. I've read and viewed a lot of dystopian science fiction in my life. So I have let my imagination wander into sort of the worst spaces imaginable as the result of the coronavirus pandemic. I think the worst possible outcome would be the end of the BBC program Threads from the mid-'80s about what would happen if a nuclear attack happened in the UK in the mid-'80s. I don't want to spoil the end of that movie if any of you guys haven't seen it and want to watch it. It's incredible. It is not scary in the sense of being a horror movie, but it is... I felt like I got kind of like stabbed in the stomach after I watched it, because their take on total societal breakdown at the end of the movie is pretty terrifying. It felt a lot scarier than the Mad Max universe to me. But anyhow, that's worst case thinking. And I don't want to think about worst case thinking right now. I, as you guys know, I'm a pretty positive person. And I want to think about all of the ways that instead of having a dystopian future, we could have, well, maybe not a utopian future, but something better than what we have certainly right now, and better than what was before. I don't think there is ever going to be a return to the old normal. There's going to be a new normal, and it's up to us right now to fashion that new normal and figure out what we're all going to do going forwards. It's a wide open playing field right now, which is pretty interesting. I think a lot of people feel very trapped, obviously, and confined because we're staying home and we're told not to interact with each other in person. But there's also a lot of people being incredibly creative, and I'm seeing all of these ideas blossom and grow really quickly online as everything starts shifting around. And I find myself imagining, what does the future of business and work look like? Obviously, we're doing the biggest work from home experiment ever. And I think a lot of businesses are going to realize that not only can their employees be extremely effective working from home, maybe even more productive working from home. But it's going to save them a lot of money because they're not going to have to pay for office space. They can actually pay people less money if they don't have to commute to a place of work, stuff like that. So I think we're going to see a lot of people who shifted to a temporary work from home situation remaining in a work from home situation, which I think is really beneficial. Traffic studies and climate change and people's stress levels from commuting can all be mitigated by work from home type of situations. So I think that's really cool. And it's interesting to see how people are getting creative with that already. And I'm super curious to see what develops as we, roll forward through this and take more time moving through the coronavirus and, however long all of this is going to take. The other big one, I think that's a huge change for everyone, is the cancellation of school. And I know it's kind of piecemeal across the US. Some schools are just like, we're done. Other schools are doing kind of distance learning stuff. But everybody's sort of scrambling to figure out what they're going to do with their kids all day and how educating their kids is going to work. A lot of people have shown interest in homeschooling and unschooling. I encourage anyone who's thinking of what they're doing right now as homeschooling to kind of back off from that. What we're doing now, or what you're doing now, because my schooling situation didn't change, I would call isolation schooling instead of homeschooling or unschooling, because there's a big go out in the world and do stuff element to homeschool and unschool that's obviously missing right now because we're isolation schooling as well. But I am curious how many families are going to reassess their education situation after this is over, once schools open back up. Are a lot of people going to just say, no, you know what? I actually enjoyed having my kids at home once we settled into it and got over the initial trauma of what's going on right now. I think a lot of people are going to recognize the positivity of having their kids home. And I know a lot of parents that I talk to don't really see homeschooling as an option. They went to school, and so you just put your kid in school when they're 5. That's what you do. Don't even think about it. Obviously homeschoolers and unschoolers have thought about it and said, no, you know what? I'm going to make a different choice here. But for so many people, it's just kind of like society's autopilot, go to school. It's taking something big like this and disruptive to make people go, hey, wait a minute. Maybe we don't have to go back to that. Maybe we could make a different model for what school looks like when we do go back. Maybe when school starts again, we can retool the school day and the school year into something that's healthier for children. I'm thinking of high school starting way later in the morning, maybe even at noon, because that's what teenagers' brains need. Or, ditching the concept of only 9 months of school and then 3 months off, because that's a old school agricultural throwback. There's a lot of ways that we can change school and how that works. And I think a lot of people might continue to do online learning if, that's something that's been appealing to them during this situation. So I'm super curious what that's going to look like as we kind of emerge out the other side of this thing, I think, obviously everyone has a huge question about the entertainment industry and the restaurant and bar industry because all of that got shut down. I think, it's really cool to see entertainers moving to online performances and live streams. It's really cool seeing celebrities engage with their audience in this much more intimate and direct way. All these people who used to be talking heads on like proper TV suddenly became YouTubers. All of these musicians are now just, recording songs in their house and putting it up on their Instagram or their Facebook or whatever to connect with their fans. It's really cool. It really humanizes celebrities in a very cool way. And makes them feel more accessible, even if they aren't, and obviously a lot of people that are just regular people are also getting online more and creating more online content. I mean, obviously I started doing this at the beginning of the year, but hi, I'm part of the new crop of YouTubers that's out there doing this thing, right? I'm pretty interested in how that sort of shakes up the entertainment industry and what happens with How do movies get released in the future? How do concerts work in the future? Are we going to go back to something that looks like the old model there? Or is there going to be a totally different way of doing that? Is everybody just going to, like super pump up their home theater and there's going to be this new direct streaming service where you just get the brand new movies and movie theaters don't exist anymore? I don't know. It's a possibility, right? With restaurants, I think it's pretty clear, at least in the immediate short term, the restaurants that are going to survive and do well right now are the ones that are managing delivery options and takeout options. And that's going to be the place where these businesses are going to be able to really kind of compete with each other. Like who's got the better delivery or takeout experience? Right now, it's going to be who makes you feel safe about having the food delivered and can, give you some great food for a good price. But I think as we move longer term through this lockdown situation and into whatever the next phase is, we're going to see, competition with higher end restaurants having to get creative because so much of the amount of money they're able to charge is about the dining experience at the restaurant and not just the food itself. Obviously, the food is at a very high level, but you're not going to be able to get away with a tiny portion plated with some, beautiful sauce in a to-go container, right? So those restaurants are going to have to start thinking differently about how they're presenting or approaching food and how that looks in terms of something that's boxed up for takeout. So I'm curious, what is that going to look like? What is the future of drinking socially going to look like? Obviously, bars are closed right now. People are drinking at home. People are drinking a lot at home. News reports are like alcohol sales are up like 40% in some parts of the country because everyone's drinking a lot, which, okay, right? That's a way to deal with this. Just in moderation. Even if you've increased your drinking, watch it, take care of yourselves out there, everybody. So that's a really interesting one, right? We had our local bar, Slow Bar here in Portland, which was our spot before Sean had a stroke. They closed down like everybody else. And our buddy Steve, who used to run Slow Bar, actually is now, he made himself a little coronavirus business of going out. He's calling himself Lawn Tender, which I think is the coolest name. He comes out to your house and mows your lawn and delivers you a couple of cocktails and stays socially distant from you while he does it. So he's got creative and came up with that, right? So I'm super interested in all the different creative things that are coming out of this from, again, like I was saying, professional creative people to business owners to, just workers who got laid off to people who have to find a new way to learn. I think the more creative you are, the more flexible you are, the more able to just kind of roll with this you are, probably the better off you're going to be. Like I said, be the boat in the river. Don't try to be a dam that's stopping the river. So obviously, we've also been doing a lot of thinking about what is the future for us going to hold here at Goblin Co. And again, like I said at the beginning of this vlog, that really started right after Sean had a stroke. We were, on a trajectory for one type of thing with our business. And then, just the stroke kind of cut that off and made us go, oh, wow, well, okay, we can't do things the same way as we did before. And we got to figure out some new stuff. And we've been, over the last year and a half, sort of doing kind of the same thing that we used to, but with the big difference of there's no new art being produced by Sean right now. But we've also been thinking about other ways that we can transform and be creative and connect with our audience in different ways than we used to. And part of that is this right here, me starting a YouTube channel. It's a expressive outlet for me, but it's also a way for me to connect with our fans and my viewers, and hopefully a way to make some money. I'll be real, you guys. I'm shooting for that YouTube monetization. I have a goal of being monetized by the end of the year. I love doing these vlogs, but obviously they take some time and some effort, and so I would love that to be a source of income for my family. Sean got his Patreon going again and has some great stuff going on over there. He's got a bunch of subscribers on his Patreon. He could use more. I'll put a link to his Patreon down in the comments below. And I'm probably going to start a Patreon also. But we're going to do a lot more than just this vlog and Sean's stuff that he's doing on Patreon. We have a lot of cool ideas for free content that we can make for you guys and create sort of art subscription service, if you will. That's one of the ways that we were already changing and sort of moving into before this whole coronavirus situation happened. So we're stepping up those efforts. We're going to be putting, I believe Sean is getting every back issue of Pork, that is 29 issues of the magazine, up online in the next couple of days for you guys to read. And that's just free. We're not going to charge anything for that. Because, you know, we're creative people. We like making stuff. We like engaging with the audience that likes engaging with our stuff, right? Oh, it's a great feedback loop. So we just want to do more and more of that and figure out how to, you know, pick up some income from it here and there to sort of all add together to make another side of the Goblin Co package. Now, we're still obviously very much dedicated to making games and running our Kickstarters to sell those games to you guys. We do have a Kickstarter going right now. Thank you so much for people who have backed it. I'll put a link to that down in the description as well. But you know, we don't know how those are going to go in the future. So we think we're going to have a successful Kickstarter this time. We hope so. And we hope we're going to be able to run a few more later in the year or start of next year for some other projects that we have in mind. And the other big thing is we really want to get into doing creative consulting. Both of us are primarily ideas people before even visual artists. And we have way more ideas than we can possibly use. So, you know, if you have a small business that is needing to, what's the buzzword, pivot during this coronavirus situation, and you want to do something new and you are looking for ideas, contact us, get at us. We don't even have like a price structure for that yet, but we're really interested in working with other people who want to get creative, who want to flex, who want to pivot during this and make something better than what we had before. Let's not go back to business as usual, right? We can have a new normal that's even better than what was going on before. We just got to do it, right? We just got to do it. So I'm going to end there. I've been talking too long. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. Please tell your friends if you like my channel and invite them to watch these vlogs as well. I will be back in a couple days with the next Cinema Club Sunday Roundup and tell you guys all about the movies that we've been watching this week. Until then, take care. I'll see you guys later.